I bet you won't even make it to the porch. Yeah, right? Scaredy cat. Are you chicken, Mikey?
Mike hated when they called him Mikey. It made him feel like a little kid, but he was a little scared. Old man Hemmings had died in that house, alone. People said it was haunted. Willow Creek wasn't a big town. Everybody knew everybody. It was the kind of place where neighbours greeted each other with a smile and children played freely in the streets. The town had a charm that made it feel like a step back in time. And everybody knew about the house at the end of Juniper Lane. It was the subject of many whispered conversations and ghost stories told around campfires. It had been empty for years since old man Hemmings died. The house seemed to hold on to his memory, as if it were a living entity itself. Some said he had died right there in the living room, the very room where he had spent countless hours, surrounded by his old books and antique furniture. The house was a Victorian mansion. Its architecture was a testament to a bygone era, with intricate woodwork and towering spires, or at least it had been once. In its prime, it was the grandest house in Willow Creek, a symbol of wealth and prestige. Now the paint was peeling. The lawn was overgrown, weeds had taken over the garden, and the once vibrant flowers were long gone. And at night, it looked like the eyes in the windows followed you. The townsfolk swore they saw shadows moving inside, even though no one had lived there for decades. The house stood as a silent sentinel watching over Willow Creek, a reminder of the past and a mystery that would never be solved.
Midnight. The witching hour. The time when the world is at its most mysterious, and the veil between the known and the unknown is at its thinnest. Mikey and his friends crept up the sidewalk, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and excitement. They had heard the stories about the old mansion, tales of ghosts and hidden treasures. The porch steps groaned under their weight, each creak echoing in the still night. The air grew cold, sending shivers down their spines as they approached the door. An owl hooted in the distance, its call a haunting reminder of the dangers that might lurk within. The night was alive with mysterious sounds, each one adding to the eerie atmosphere. Mikey pushed the heavy oak door. It creaked open, revealing a dark, musty interior. The door's groans seemed to echo through the empty halls as if the house itself was waking from a long slumber. The smell hit them first, musty. It was the scent of decay and neglect, a reminder of the many years the house had stood abandoned, like old people and dust. Cobwebs hung from the ceiling, and dust particles floated in the air, illuminated by the faint light that managed to seep through the cracks. The air inside was heavy, oppressive. It felt as if the house was holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. The feeling of dread was almost palpable.
The adventure had begun, and there was no turning back. The fog outside seemed to thicken as if trying to seal them inside. But the house had secrets, dark and ancient, that were waiting to be uncovered. Shadows seemed to move in the corners of their vision, hinting at the mysteries that lay ahead, that were waiting to be uncovered. Each step they took brought them closer to the heart of the mystery and the secrets that the old mansion had guarded for so long.
The floorboards groaned as they stepped inside. The foyer was dark. Cobwebs hung from every corner. Dust covered everything. Mikey felt a shiver run down his spine. "Did you hear that?" whispered Mark. "Hear what?" whispered back Jennifer. "I thought I heard something," said Mark, like whispering. They crept down the hallway. Each room was just as dilapidated as the last. Old furniture covered in sheets. Pictures on the walls were turned around. In the distance, they heard a crash. "What was that?" asked Jennifer, her voice barely a whisper. Then they saw it. At the end of the hallway, a figure, tall and shadowy. It seemed to float just above the ground. "Let's get out of here," said Mikey. He turned to run, but the door slammed shut. He rattled the handle, but it wouldn't budge. They were trapped. The figure started to move toward them, gliding slowly down the hallway. It didn't make a sound. Its eyes glowed red in the darkness. Mikey threw his weight against the door. It burst open with a loud, echoing creak that sent shivers down their spines. They tumbled out into the night, gasping for breath. The cold air stung their lungs as they ran, their footsteps pounding against the pavement in a frantic rhythm. They didn't stop running until they reached the safety of the streetlights. The warm glow of the lamps felt like a sanctuary, a barrier against the darkness that seemed to chase them. "Where did it go?" asked Jennifer, her chest heaving. Her eyes darted around, searching the shadows for any sign of the entity that had terrified them. They looked back at the house, its silhouette looming ominously against the night sky. The windows were dark, like empty eye sockets staring back at them. All the lights were out. The street was empty, eerily silent except for the distant hum of the city. It was as if the house had swallowed all the noise and life around it. There was no sign of the shadowy figure. It had vanished as quickly as it had appeared, leaving behind only a lingering sense of dread. But as they turned to leave, Mikey could have sworn he saw a pair of red eyes watching them from the attic window. The eyes glowed with an unnatural intensity, sending a chill down his spine. He blinked, and they were gone, leaving him to wonder if he had imagined it. The group huddled closer together, their fear palpable. They knew they had to leave, but the memory of those eyes would haunt them for a long time. As they walked away, the house stood silent, its secrets hidden in the darkness.